Gilbert, what's happening?
Hey Phil, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, I remember Fred Hall show maybe 10 years ago being on your show.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you mention that because I saw some photos of that the other day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seems like yesterday almost, right?
Man, it does seem like yesterday. The industry, man. The great thing about our California industry is it's a tight-knit bunch, right? That we all stick together over the years.
Well, some of us. Steve's always trying to create problems. But
Steve's a good guy, man.
Is he? Okay, well, I'll talk to you about that later.
Spent a lot of time with Steve.
Maybe you can change my mind on that.
Yeah, so
Just kidding.
man, things are good. Things are good with you as well. Great. Thanks for having me on.
You know, other than having Philip on the show today, pretty good, yeah.
Awesome.
So, let's talk lobster hoop netting.
Okay, yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I think we'll start there, right?
Because let's start. I mean, we can talk about everything, right? But let's talk
absolutely. It's right on the horizon, man.
Yeah, it's right around the corner, and it's funny. A lot of people were talking about a lot of times you lose track of lobster, especially when Dorado are in.
Yeah, right.
And people kind of forget that lobster season is right around the corner. They do kind of remember that lobster season's coming up because the commercial guys, stuff's out there, or they see the commercial guys getting all pumped up for their season. But yeah, October 1st, man, and it runs about October 15th, March 15th. And it's a great time to get out there and get some who likes lobster? Anybody like lobster?
Who doesn't, right?
People that don't like lobster. Check. You guys hear me? Okay, cool. Yeah, who doesn't like lobster, right? And so we're getting ready to start the season over at Promar. We have a lot of cool things ahead for you guys, a lot of seminars, a lot of how-to. We're going to be doing a seminar here probably next month, a lobster seminar. But we do come to our website. We have a lot of rigging techniques. We have a lot of how-to. People just starting off lobster hooping. A lot of times when you see something like this, you're like, what is that? What is that meant for? What do I do with that? Well, we have guys at Promar like myself that will teach you the beginning of how to rig up, where to go, how to do it, and on our social media and also on our website and YouTube, we have a slew of videos to show you everything from our diamond jigs to our nets to all of our hooping nets, because we also do landing nets as well. But our hooping nets as well. We have a 32-inch net, a 36, and we also have a 36 XL heavy net that weighs 14 pounds. And so we have YouTube videos to show you how to rig that stuff up. So a lot of guys go out there, what do I do? How do I do it? We got you covered, okay? So it's all how-to videos, and it walks you through step by step.
You know, Greg Johnson from Daiwa, who gave me a bunch of stuff to give away here today, and I thank him very much. He loves going out in a kayak and doing it. And you do a lot of that, don't you?
Yeah, I've been super blessed. I've been with Hobie since 2008. I've actually been at Bass Pro Shop here since 2008 as well. In 2009, I was the Angler of the Year for kayak fishing for the series. I was competing a lot. I basically have a win in every bay. From here to San Diego, I have a win. And I won many titles as well as far as kayak fishing. But I fish for Hobie kayaks. I fish many different kayaks. The shop I fish for it's Pure Water Sports in Dana Point. I've been so blessed. It's a family there for me. Tim Boyer's a shop owner, taking me under his wing, totally provides everything that I need. But we are a shop where it's a try before you buy shop. So any kayak that you want to try, we're on the water, right there in the ship harbor. You just bring your rod, bring some shorts, try any kayak you want. But kayaking for lobster fishing, I love it. You're right to the water. It's one of my specialties that I do. Yes, I kayak, I lobster off a boat as well. But kayak, man, the beautiful thing about a kayak, there's no gas, there's no registration, there's no storage fee. You throw it on top of your car and in the back of your truck and you're fishing. The cool thing about the kayaks today, they have bait tanks, fish finders, GPSs, everything that you need. The kayak has you ready to go at a very, very low cost. I was up in Mammoth. I do a lot of trout fishing. I was up in Mammoth over the weekend. Threw 2 kayaks on my roof rack, had my kids out in the water in like 10 seconds. And the thing about it now, especially with gas is going, registration's going, where are you gonna launch your boat? I can launch my boat from any dock or any beach in Southern California.
That is fantastic. And you know, when you go on a boat, the captain puts you on the spot, you drop your nets, but when you're a kayaker, you do all that yourself.
Yeah.
So the sense of accomplishment, I think, is more, you feel like, hey, I figured this out. I dropped my net where I wanted to, and I got these.
Yeah, and you're your own captain. That's the beautiful thing about kayak fishing, is that you're your own captain. And there's a community, that's the thing, there's a community of kayak anglers. There's different forums you can go on, different pages you can go on, people that go together and they fish together. And catching a fish on a kayak is an experience, okay? Even catching like a yellowtail or white sea bass. But a lot of, in our area here, calico bass, I'm waiting for the Dorado to get close to the beach because I'm going to get one.
Absolutely, heck yeah. So where are some of the better parts of our coastline for lobster fishing from
all
a
the
kayak?
parts are good. Last year we had a minor oil spill in the Dana Point area. It kind of put a damper on the season for a lot of guys. And San Pedro, Long Beach, Dana Point, anywhere basically down the coast. I've hooped everywhere. San Diego Bay, Mission Bay. I mean, a lot of guys do really well in Mission Bay the first part of the season. It's more of a family place. There's not a lot of boats whipping through there. It's in a harbor right next to SeaWorld. You're hooping 20 feet of water. I personally, I like going out to Dana Point myself because our shop's there. I have my kayak there. It's real convenient for me. But Steve and I spend a lot of time in the Long Beach area. I've done the San Pedro area as well. And even Catalina, if you want to get out to the Catalina Islands, that's, you're pulling traps up there. You're hooping 100 plus feet using the XL hoop net, so even adding some more weight. And man, you pull up the bugs there, man, you get a limit sometimes in one pool, which is a beautiful thing.
Wow. So what are you looking for? I mean, you don't just drop your net blind.
Yeah, that's a good
What
question.
is it you're looking for?
Yeah, so I like to say, great lobster hoopers, lobster fishermen are, if you're a good bass fisherman, lobsters have the same characteristic as a bass. They're looking for the food, the structure, and the current. Okay, so anytime you're fishing for a calico bass or a sand bass, you're gonna want that. You're gonna want that food, current, and structure. And so the lobsters like to hide in rocks, they like to hide in cliffs and stuff, because you are not the only people that eat lobster, all right? Other things in the ocean prey upon lobsters, so they got to hide from those things. And so what I like to tell people too is that a lot of people get lost during the lobster season. Where do I drop my nets? Where do I go? And the commercial fishermen, they actually leave their nets out there all day. They pull once a week.
Right.
And they're putting their stuff on the structure. Not to say that you would take their spot, but a lot of those spots are key calico bass spots that nobody puts in their GPS over the season. But you're going to want to find that structure. You're going to want to find that current. You're going to want to find where the food is at. And during the season, as it gets later, those lobsters are going to go a little deeper. So you're just looking for the same exact scenario, but just a little deeper.
Do you find that lobster crawl better like on a full moon or after a rain? Is there anything like that you could give us a tip?
I've been doing this a long time. One of the biggest bugs that I've ever seen, we call them bugs, lobster bugs, was actually pulled out during a full moon. And I don't do well during a full moon, I'll be honest. I don't do well. I usually don't go out during a full moon. But something that people need to understand is there's a moon rise and a moon set. And just because there's going to be a full moon that day doesn't mean particularly that the moon's going to be full when you go out. You got to watch the moon rise and the moon set. Same with the tide. There's three types of tides. There's an incoming tide, a slack tide, and then there's an outgoing tide. And I always tell people the best time to call your wife to apologize to go fishing is during a slack tide. That's when you do that, right? You make a sandwich, you call your wife, apologize. But same thing with the moon. The brighter that moon, the bugs seem not to crawl as much. But then you have a scenario like Long Beach Harbor, where there's lights on 24/7. People are working the ship harbor. Doesn't bother the lobster at all. It depends on the situation. You're going to be hooping Catalina Island in a dark area. It's probably going to affect the bugs a little bit more.
Yeah, Philip will not go out on the full moon, but he's afraid of werewolves. So
yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
We've seen them out there.
Best bait for lobster? I mean, people say salmon heads. Other people say as long as it's fresh.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I would say something I've been playing with a lot over the years is, and I was really down in it for a while, was scents, right? Like bait scents. I would say a fresh bait is the best bait. I'm using sabiki mackerel with our sabiki stick from Ahi. We have a great sabiki stick out there on the market. I'm constantly making bait. I think fresh mackerel is the best way to go. I do think a salmon head. Are they going to be particular on what they get? I'm going to say no. Some people swear by certain things, But what I do say that works for me is the bite-on scent. I've been working with Tony on the bite-on scent for the last few years, and we have cloths with the scent in it. We have the sprays with the scent on it, and especially with our new seal bait cage, because there's 2 types of bait cage in here. We're going to be giving away one of our seal-proof bait cages. And the lobster like to just eat. They're just savages, right? They just eat. You can put a couple lobster in your bait tank, and if you have a mackerel in there swimming around, he's going to get eaten. Even though the lobster is like, I'm going home to get eaten, he can care less. You put him in your kitchen, he's gonna eat your dinner from the night before, right? They're just constantly eating. But they're a big scent. The bugs they like the scent, and they like that oil. And so the more oily the fish is, the better the crawl is gonna be for you.
Gilbert, when you start putting a price on a limit of lobster, I mean, they're like $50 a pound now, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, when you start to add that up, you have a 3-pound lobster, it's $150.
Yeah.
You have 12 pounds of lobster.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it gets incredible. It gets like $800 worth of lobster at some point.
And I'll be honest, like Lobster in the Hernandez home, we kind of get tired of it after a while, because I have 4 boys.
Well, I can tell you where to send some of it.
Yeah, I know. I have 4 boys, man. They're like, lobster again, Dad?
Yeah, like, really.
So it's but we love catching them, and we do believe in get what you can and throw some back. We've thrown lots of lobster back over the years. But it's a fun time because there's very minimal things you need to do about lobster. People tell me like, how do I catch a lobster, right? And I always tell them like, well, it's almost like me telling you how to pull a slot machine. Like what slot machine to pull, right? Like there may be a specific slot machine that's hotter than normal, but you're just basically pulling the handle, right? But it's all about the gear you use, and it's all about the tackle you use. And us at Promar, we're putting out a product for everybody that's the best product on the market, right? And not only do we put a product on the market, we also give you the education and the tools and the resources to use those. So it's like dropping a net over the side or pulling a slot machine, it's all the same. Like, what did you do to win that big jackpot in Las Vegas? Well, I put my money in, I pulled the thing, and I won the money, okay? So what did you do to go catch those lobster? Well, I did some research, right? I threw my net over, and they happened to crawl today. I can throw my net in the same spot every opener. Last opener is 0. That's the first time I zeroed out. Every opener before that, I had a limit of lobster, right? And so it's just, sometimes it's just fishing, right? It's not catching. And it's like, but it's what's gonna make your job easier catching these bugs. It's like with anything you do. And for us at Promar, we wanna make sure that people have tackle management. We want to make sure people have organization. Most importantly, we want to make sure that people are abiding by the law, right? The hardest thing about lobster hooping is knowing the regulations. And so us at Promar, we will teach you the regulations, but it's your job to know the regulations, right? And the game wardens are going to be out, and they love their lobster. They want to make sure that their lobster are getting taken care of. So if you think you're going to get away with a short lobster, you will get caught. So, yeah.
You definitely have to stay up on that, including the gauges and everything.
Yes, everybody needs to have a gauge. If you're lobster, and then this is the big question I get in a seminar where it's like, well, do I need a lobster card if I'm not hoop netting, I'm just driving the boat? Well, you're still participating in lobster hooping. The minute you touch a flashlight to shine on that hoop net, you're participating in lobster hooping. And now it's between your terminology and the game wardens. And what I tell people is just go buy a lobster card. Lobster card is not that much money. Buy a lobster card, buy a fishing license. Be part of the game. Be part of the experience of what you're doing. And know the law to where you're not enjoying yourself at the night because you're afraid you're going to get caught.
Gilbert, we're going to give away this net in just a second, but so you have various products. What is the net that you would suggest people buy? Now you have the seal proof, you said?
Yeah. So we have different products there at Promar, and what we want to do is we have today we're going to be giving away a 32-inch hoop net. We have a 36-inch, and then we have a 36-inch XL. So our 32-inch hoop net is a lot smaller hoop net. I mean, it's only a few inches shorter than our 36, of course. But we like the kayak fishermen like the 32s. And then for the boaters, like the 36. And then if you're going to the islands or you're fishing some deep water, we have our 36 XL Heavy, which is a 14-pound hoop net. And then, of course, you're going to have to put the line with the buoy. But today we're going to be giving away one of our cages as well, our seal-proof bait cages. And what that helps is the seals get totally frustrated, of course, trying to get into that cage. If you go to our table over here, we have a wire bait cage, and some of our combo packs, we have like a float and a cage and a gauge. We'll give you a wire bait cage, and those are good for some areas, and you have to be able to know the area and where the sea lions and seals are going to be. But they will crush that completely like a can. And if you don't have one of these seal bait cages, you will get your bait taken away a lot. And the cool thing, you know what I like to feel about these seal bait cages is that the lobsters tend not to eat the bait as much as they do the other stuff. And so there's also a way to rig this as well. And if you go on our website, ProHI USA, or see us on Facebook or Instagram, we'll teach you how to rig this up. Because a lot of people say, you know, that the seals are still getting in that. They're popping it. But there's a way to actually rig this up to where the seals will not get in it. So you guys gotta know how the product is designed and how we want you to set this up. So getting the information, you guys, is our main priority at Promar, and we wanna make sure Steve and I spend hours on the water filming, doing stuff in the studio to make sure that you guys have all the information that you guys need.
Great stuff. Gilbert, anybody have a question for, yeah, go ahead, kid.
How many hoop nets are you taking on your kayak to fish comfortably?
That's a great question.
So,
how many hoop nets are you taking on your kayak?
So let's just go over real quick. 2 kayaks and a pier. You don't need fish lines, but you need a lobster card. Any person that's fishing by themselves is 5 hoop nets. If you're on a boat with, say, 20 people or 100 people, 10 hoop nets to max, okay? So just because you're on a boat and you say, well, I have 5 people, you can't take 5 hoop nets per person. It's 10 max with a person, okay? I could spend hours talking about regulations. I spend a lot of time with game wardens, and regulations is kind of my bread and butter. But for me personally, I take 5 hoop nets, okay? Do I recommend you to take 5 hoop nets for your first time kayaking? Absolutely not, okay? Now this is the reason why, okay? For me to set 5 hoop nets out, I do a 20-minute soak time to 25-minute soak time, okay? Now if I pull my first net, okay, so remember 25 minutes, 20-25 minutes is the key in my mind. If I pull my first net, okay, and I have 30 lobster in there, and you're saying 30 lobster? 30 lobster is not uncommon for an opener night, okay? The problem is, are they legal lobster? Okay, so now what I gotta do is use my gauge, and I gotta measure each lobster. Time is ticking by, okay? Those lobster have now eaten all my bait in my cage, I have to rebait. 45 minutes have gone by, okay? Now I drop my net, 45 minutes have gone by, I'm behind 25 minutes. I gotta pull net number 2. Net number 2 is the same thing. So now I'm almost an hour behind schedule. By the time I get to hoop number 5, all my bait's gone, all the lobster are gone.
All right, great question. Gilbert will be, go ahead. How many did you catch?
You're allowed to catch 7 lobster legally. 7 lobster legally.
All right, and Gilbert and myself, all the guys here will be available after. I think we have a 2-hour limit on this, right, Steve? So